adding a really quick note onto the beginning of this episode to say my sound was like super weird at the very start for like the first maybe like 15 minutes, but I promise it gets better. So yeah, like it doesn't affect the whole podcast, and I don't know what I was about, so I apologise, but I feel like you can probably just about understand what I'm saying, and I will work on that for the future. And also, just to say that the reason why Izzy's camera is not on is because her internet doesn't work well if she has her video on as well, so yeah, that's why it's not a video of Izzy, it's just a video of me. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to Coffee Chats. Today I'm here with Izzy Lawsey, and I'm really excited to chat with her. We're going to be talking about sustainable farming and everything to do with that. Basically how I found her to be on my podcast was her TikTok came up on my For You page, and I just thought the whole thing was really interesting. And yeah, so I'm really excited to talk to her about it all. So hey Izzy.
Hello, I am so excited to be on this podcast. This is my first podcast here, so I am sorry if I have any mix-ups or things like that. But yeah, I have been in the sustainability world and environmental world for a while. I am a junior at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. I'm studying environment, economy, development, and sustainability with a specialization in business and sustainability. So basically with my major, I'm able to connect basically the agriculture industry with the business side of things to help create a more sustainable future.
That sounds really interesting. So what are 3 fun facts about you to sort of let us get to know you a little bit?
I saw this question and I was thinking about it for a while. It's like always one of those icebreakers, and so I'll say one of my first fun facts is that like I'm ambidextrous, so I can do things like with my left and right hand, doing sports and like playing like guitar, musically, like different things like that. And then another fun fact about me is I am allergic to shellfish, so that kind of like segued into my veganism, being allergic to shellfish. And my last fun fact is I used to grow up in the country, and then I moved to the city when I was like 7 years old.
I kind of live in I say I live in the country, I live near the country, and like I live in the town. But now I go to uni in the city, and it is like very different.
Yeah.
So Izzy, what has been the highlight of your week this week so far?
I would say my highlight of the week, so right now it's harvest season at the urban farm I'm working at. So I'm kind of put in charge of the cucumbers for this season. So I have been working harvesting the cucumbers in our greenhouses, and then I work with our marketer. So once the cucumbers are harvested, we take the weight, we bring them up to the kitchen, and then I meet with the marketer and talk to them about the different size and different techniques we should be doing to make sure the cucumbers are the best quality, so we can send them to the local businesses and groceries to sell.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So as this podcast is called Coffee Chats, I like to ask everybody what their coffee order is, or if they don't drink coffee, like what they would order if they went to Starbucks or somewhere like that to get a drink.
Yeah, I thought this was a unique question too, because I kind of liked it for it being like a coffee chat like type of podcast. So starting in January, I actually went caffeine free. I just thought that was better for me, for like my mental health, just like anxiety. So I got coffee the other day, a decaf order. So it's usually I get like a decaf latte, iced with oat milk, just pretty simple like that.
Yeah, I normally go for like a vanilla iced latte. I need to try not with oat milk. I used to do it loads, like in college, and then I just stopped. But I don't know why, because it, like, to me, it doesn't taste that much.
Yeah, I used to go for like the iced caramel macchiatos from Starbucks, but then on TikTok, everybody was saying that those were just lattes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like once you stir it, because it's supposed to be like a fancy layered drink, but then everybody just stirs them, so then it's like not really a layered drink anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I feel like I always forget that like different coffees are different because you do end up just kind of stirring it and then it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I know. Like I feel like pretty much all iced coffees kind of like taste the same, depending on what you put in it. Like there's no really, I don't know. I'm not picky. I'm not really picky. The coffee lovers out there will probably come for me, but yeah, I'd rather go to a local coffee shop though than a Starbucks. I found, just because I think the coffee is better than the Starbucks or like Dunkin'.
Yeah. We don't have Dunkin' in England. So
Ah,
we have Starbucks and then we have Costa and then which is like an English coffee shop and then like obviously local ones. But yeah, I agree. Local coffee shops are always so like lovely and like they're always decorated so cute.
well, you're not missing out on Dunkin'. It is definitely it's either good or it's either really bad. There's no in between. It either like tastes like, oh yeah, this is really good coffee, or it tastes like sewage water.
Okay, you kind of already said a little bit about what you do, but yeah, just again, what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah, so I am still in college right now. So I'm going to be graduating in December. So throughout my time here at college, I have been involved in a lot of different clubs and activities and different volunteer experiences that have made me who I am and have allowed me to gain experience in the environmental community. I worked on a multiple farms. I worked on an island for a summer. And basically, I just try to do as much as I can to make a difference in the world. Currently, I have 2 internships this summer. I am working with FFI Solutions. So that is a company where they have a carbon underground 200 list. And that list has all the fossil fuel companies and their rates of mining different coal and oil for energy, and basically investors can take that list and figure out where they should be spending their money instead. So I'm their marketing intern. And then I'm also working for NECIC, which is a nonprofit like organization to help. It's located in Mansfield, Ohio. So it is working to develop the community basically, because there used to be a steel factory there, but then once it shut down, it left the community suffering. So I work there, and they have an urban farm sector, and I am their farm intern. So that's just a little bit of what I'm doing currently. I'm also really big on social media. That's one thing that I've been trying to grow this summer and trying to reach out as much as possible.
Yeah, I think social media is literally anything that you want to do is very helpful, and for you to like kind of teach people about what you do as well. Because like I said, I've never heard about it before.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with social media. My goal, since I'm graduating in December, I'm hoping to get a remote-based job and then have the opportunity to travel, go to different seminars, or go to different different like experiences or things like that, so then I can talk or give presentations or just really be involved in the environmental community and create a higher impact.
That sounds amazing. So what actually is digital farming? And how did you get into it?
Okay, so a little backstory on me. I mentioned before about one of my fun facts is that I grew up in the country. So when I was little, I grew up like in the very rural, like if you think of United States, like country Midwest with cornfields all around me. So I grew up there. My grandma and grandpa, they were farmers. They were just rural, like that type of generational agriculture farmers. I haven't, and then when I moved to the suburbs, I never really touched farming again until fairly recently in the past couple of years. So sustainable urban farming is a whole different technique. It's also known as like modern agriculture. Basically, instead of growing produce horizontally, so like taking up acres and acres of land space, the agriculture and produce is grown vertically. So then it takes up less space, and at that time you produce a higher yield with less space. So for example, people would or tearing down like trees to grow produce and causing deforestation. So that high rates of deforestation is causing climate change to grow and increase. So this new age type of farming allows us to farm with less space, creating higher yields, so like a higher amount of produce. And so this like urban farming, it mostly is impacts different lots or communities within downtown areas where there's nothing really growing there, or it's kind of vacant and abandoned. The farm I'm working at, it was abandoned. That lot was abandoned for 12 years, and there's actually a factory there. But instead of tearing down the building, they just covered it up with dirt. They just kind of tore it down, then filled the rubble up with dirt. So the field is kind of like not hazardous, but you can't really grow anything there. And a lot of urban farming go to these type of places where you can't really do anything on that plot of land because it's bad. So we set up different greenhouse high tunnels, and then we also set up raised beds. And that allows us to focus primarily just on those plants and really put our whole time and effort into growing those. Yeah, so that's kind of like, I didn't really say too much about how I got into it. I just kind of, I guess, fell into it because of my major. I do take some agriculture-based classes with people who want to be farmers, and then I also have done volunteer experience at some farms, and I just kind of happened to be at these places and found it so interesting. So I just kept on researching and learning more and more, and it's kind of just led me down this path, and I am so happy to be here.
It sounds like such a great way to sort of help combat climate change, because I guess farming is one of the biggest like issue. And I hadn't actually, well, I have thought about it, but like the space that it takes up, like I hadn't really thought that much about it before you just said it then, about how much of an issue that must be. So it sounds like such a great proactive way to help, basically. Here's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, so a lot of, like, for example, a lot of people become vegan because of the fact that to feed the animals that are just going to be slaughtered, the majority of produce grown, like corn and those type of products for like animal feed, is grown through those type of farming techniques where they just destroy forests, cut them down, and then they use that produce to create animal feed. So that's one reason why the vegan and vegetarian, plant-based community, whatever, they're just very adamant on urban farming, sustainable farming, because it goes hand in hand with the idea that we should be using the space we already have, and we shouldn't be like extending or using so many resources when we have already so much available to us.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I'm pescatarian at the moment. Hopefully, eventually, I'll just be fully vegetarian. But that was definitely one of my top reasons for deciding to become pescatarian, because like it's just insane. Like, yeah, it's just bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially like there was a few years ago with tearing down a part of the Amazon rainforest to create farmland. We're seeing more and more today that farmers or just like rural farmers are wanting to tear down some beautiful forests and land just for their produce, when really like the sky's the limit, and that's the whole thing with urban agriculture is think up, don't think horizontal, because we have so much space to grow upward, but we only have a limited space to grow horizontal. There's also places where they're turning abandoned warehouses or open like city centers into these urban farms where they set up racks, tallest buildings all the way up, just having produce growing upward in different racks. And it looks almost like it's a sci-fi movie sometimes, just seeing how cool and just how like different we're growing produce. But like I said before, based on like it's based on per hectare, we are producing more produce than the average rural farmer. Granted, that is like the comparison like per hectare, because we do have a smaller amount of land, but we are still producing more because we're able to concentrate on the few plants we have rather than focusing on acres and acres. And if one plant dies on us, that's a big deal. But to the average farmer, they don't care if one or three, whatever, a whole row isn't doing too well. But for us, we're just very putting our time into everything we do.
That's amazing. Yeah. I just thought of, and it's not one of the questions I wrote down, but I know something that's often talked about it in England is how supermarkets throw away or like don't sell vegetables that aren't like perfectly shaped. So is that something that you try to, like, if a vegetable comes out and it doesn't look perfect, is that something that you try to like not worry about too much?
So actually, I'm happy you asked that because I just kind of learned about this the other day. So for example, like the cucumbers, when you go through them, we realized we grew actually 3 different types of cucumbers. So once we go through and harvest them, we just pick off whatever. We have like a ruler of how long they're supposed to be or how like girthy they're supposed to be. Once we clip them, we organize them into grade A and grade B. So grade A is what we're going to be selling to our high-end restaurants or our supermarkets, the ones where it has to like, they pretty much have to look perfect. We say, that like my boss said, think of that soccer mom who is a stay-at-home mom, has never farmed, never done anything, and she just wants to buy some produce for her kids. She's going to pick out the best looking ones. So you want your produce to be the best looking ones, the perfect cucumber. So all of those, the grade A, we line them up. We make sure they're all the same like length, the same width. Coloring is perfect, no scratches, no bumps. So then those are going to be selling at the higher rate, and those will go to the best restaurants and grocery stores around our area. And then our seconds, which we call, so they're either seconds or unripe or grade B, those we will sell to like local juiceries, because it doesn't really matter how they look, it's just going to go into juice. Or we sell them at farmers markets because a lot of times at farmers markets, we specifically grow organic produce. So people know it's organic produce. It's not going to look perfect. It's not going to be anything. So we take those seconds and then we sell them to the juiceries or like smoothie places in the nearby area. And then we sell them at the farmers market. And then if we have like any extra ones after that, just kind of, we had a cucumber the other day. It literally looked like a potato. It was really short and fat. It was like just an odd shape. We like eat them. So really nothing goes to waste. Like either like we eat them or we take them home. We also, the farm I work at with NECIC, we just got a grant to have a composting area. So we are receiving a lot of funding to create this whole big composting center. So we can then use, if there's produce that is unripened or it just is really, really bad to even eat or like gone spoiled, we can just throw it in there. So we are really big on not wasting our food. And I think that's a big thing since we are in an organic, sustainable, urban type of farm is we need profit, but also we need sustainability. So we're just not going to throw away whatever is left over.
That sounds amazing because I just know food waste and like waste in general is just such a big issue. So to hear that there's people, to hear that there's like farming that is making sure that there isn't waste and like just trying to use everything is just so positive to hear. And I think having a conversation like this and hearing all the positive ways that people are actually dealing with these issues is really uplifting when everything kind of seems very worrying.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting now being in the field, learning about how many components there are in this type of agriculture field. So personally, I work for, like I said, NECIC, and that's like an organization in Mansfield, Ohio, to help the North End community. So they have like different sectors, and they're my boss. They're like my company I work for. But then I'm growing produce for the Richland Grow Op, which the Richland Grow Op is the county I am in. So it's all the organic farmers and sustainable farmers in the county. There's 9 of us, and we sell to the RGO. And then there's someone who is the marketer of the RGO. So we give our produce to the marketer, and then the marketer's job is to sell the produce to the nearby areas. He actually drives everywhere to drop off produce to local communities and things like that. So there's so many different components all in this type of field. It's not just plain and simple as farming. There's people who are, especially with urban farming, because you have to work with the city with zoning codes, the Chamber of Commerce, and then being a community-run organization, we have to work for grants for funding, and then we have to work with the grocery stores and restaurants, and we have to know and grow what they want. So for example, like this one certain type of cucumber, we just found out they want 10 pounds a week. And then the way we were growing them to be a little bit, have a little bit more of a width, but they want them to be longer and skinnier. So now we have to learn how to harvest them different so then we can produce what they want. So there's so many different components, and you don't have to be just a farmer or have a agriculture background. One of my coworkers, he's social work background. He works on a farm, but then he also does a lot with the community and just learning and knowing about the community, because it's not just plain and simple as, let's grow some produce. My other boss, he's an econ major, but then he picked up farming on the side, and he's like the businessman of the farm. My other, the farm manager, he was a engineering major, but he knows how to work all the all the irrigation systems and how to build those and how to build trellises so they can have the right amounts of sun, and why different soil types should be going in these beds. And there's just so many people working together at once to make a difference, and it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's such like, it's just good to know and see and hear about how these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on your TikTok, I've seen you talk about how you help to solve food insecurity in underdeveloped areas. So, and you've mentioned a little bit about this already. So, what is this, and how are you helping to help solve it?
Yeah, so in the States, we had this big issue with like hunger and obesity, and where a lot of areas are food deserts. So even where I work in Mansfield, Ohio, just driving down, you see a lot of, there's like no grocery stores. There's like Dollar General, or there is like dollar stores where you don't really, there's no fresh produce. It's all like frozen food or candy or like junk food at like a cheap price. And that's all the community has. And then nearest grocery is maybe like 30 minutes away. So this issue of food deserts is a huge problem across the country. And food insecurity. So since the people in these areas, most of them come from poverty, so they may not have a car. Transportation's an issue. How will they get to the grocery store? Why go to or why find a ride or call an Uber for like $10 to a grocery store when you can just walk to a gas station and pick up some chips and some granola bars and some pop?
Yeah.
So that is a big issue. And my urban farm that I work at, and I know a few in the area as well, or like in bigger cities such as New York and like Boston, some in California. So we take our produce, and then we also have a farmer's market. So we invite all the local farmers on Thursdays to come out and sell their produce. And I work there at like the booth and everything and check people in. And every single time people say, yeah, to get fresh produce, I come here every Thursday because I don't have the opportunity to go anywhere else. And then at the farmer's market I work at, we take food stamps. So that is like the government helps you pay for your groceries if you're in that low like economic status. So we can take their food stamps, so then they can actually buy the fresh produce we offer. So a lot of times these urban farms are being set up in these areas of low poverty, food deserts, where there's no nearby grocery stores, nowhere to get fresh produce, and it's an opportunity for the community to receive produce. And ultimately it's a chain effect. So if they receive produce, then they are able to be full, so they're able to help with like being healthy, and they're receiving a better diet, and that helps with obesity. So then the obesity levels decrease, which means then then the different like health around the community decreases. So then we don't have to be paying so much for different health benefits for people, because then they're having a healthier lifestyle. And then once they are living a healthier lifestyle, because they're not diabetic, or they're able to get out of bed and work, and they're motivated and have that energy, then it grows the community, and then the community is growing. So everything is a domino effect, one after the another. And it's really unique. Also, the farm I work at specifically, they hire people who they hire people who just got out of jail or need help trying to find a job, or they've been struggling. So it may be older people who they are struggling to find a job in the area, or people who just got out of jail and they're trying to get back on their feet. We had someone who was homeless working for us, and we actually raised enough money to get him a cell phone, so then he could call us when he is coming in late for work or isn't able to make it. All these things to help the community. So planting an urban farm in an area, it's amazing, like just seeing how much growth it can do after even a couple years. The community comes together. It's almost like it was like a dark time, and then we come in, or like people give opportunities to the community that they never had before, and basically just providing for them and helping them succeed.
That's so good. And like hiring people who, like you said, have just come out of prison is so helpful to them. Like that will benefit them for like years to come, to have had that.
When we're trying to also like work like a system out as well, like where we can give them like a like certificate or something, so then or like just like a really good letter of recommendation, so then if they need to go on to a next job, they have this like piece of paper, this document stating, oh wait, I had this mishap in my life, this happened, but I am a good worker and I had this opportunity to do this, and just vouch for them. So it's amazing. Another worker there, it's actually really cool as well. She is living out of her van just because she lives a hippie lifestyle. And this is just kind of like her summer gig, working on the farm. So we're just like providing opportunities to like everyone. If you're a good worker, and we'll teach you. Basically, the whole stereotype around farming, where a lot of the rural and typical country farmers come in, is where it's generational, where their whole family has owned these acres of land for 20 plus years. Well, probably even more than that. And they just learn from their family, and they see themselves as knowing more, or they just have a slightly higher ego because it's been family owned and they've been doing it for so long. But really, anyone can learn how to farm and how to learn these sustainable techniques. As long as you're a hard worker, willing to learn, we'll teach you, and the outcome is amazing.
That is amazing. It just sounds like something that would benefit, well, the whole world for starters, because it's more sustainable.
Yeah, like I said before, people don't realize how it's not just like environmental impact. Like my major, it's environment, economy, development, and sustainability. So I learn about the environment, but then I learn about how it affects the economy, and how it affects the community in different development areas. And then I learn about sustainability and how we can keep that process up to better help our environments, because everything is interconnected. The business world, health, like medical, environments, we're all living together. So we all have to work as one with the planet.
That is very well said. So as you mentioned, you're vegan, and I would love to hear a little bit about your vegan journey. And also, is it hard to, I guess because of the type of farming you do, it's very different. But has it ever been difficult to be in the farming world as a vegan?
Okay, where should I start? When I was little, like I said, I grew up in the country, and my grandparents had a farm. So like we had acres and acres of land, and we had like chickens and everything like that. And ever since I was little, I used to throw away my meat. Granted, I was little, like obviously I would never do that now, but like I hated the taste of it so much just because I did not want to eat another being. And then when I was throughout my time in like middle school and high school, I would try going vegetarian. I ended up giving up like fast food for a while, and now once I got to college, I then gave up meat, so I became vegetarian. I was vegetarian for 2 years, and then I received my first kind of real farm experience. I went away to Gita Nagari Eco Farm and Sanctuary in Pennsylvania, and there they are. And this is where one of my TikToks went viral, and received very mixed reviews. But it is a no-kill sanctuary style type of farm. So they take the cows, so they rescue cows from slaughterhouses or auctions, and they raise them on that farm until they die naturally. To be a part of this farming community, you have to be vegan or vegetarian. So starting in January, I worked there for 4 months, and so I became vegan. And once I left the farm, I just continued being vegan, and it was the best thing for my body. I think the vegan community is very harsh on labels and very harsh on, you have to do this because it's the animals and you have to do this for the environment. And granted, I'm an animal activist. I do a ton for the environment, as you can see. But I don't think that we should be so harsh on people and their choices. Granted, yes, you should start trying new foods and trying new alternatives, and I really respect that. But some of my really good friends, they're not environmentalists, but they just don't like meat. But sometimes they'll order chicken, and then they'll be like, I don't know, like I don't really like it. Like here and there, they're just like kind of like a picky eater per se, but they don't want to call themselves vegetarian because they don't want to have that pressure on the community to basically receive hate and backlash. So
So I've been pescatarian since the start of like when COVID started, basically.
Yeah.
And when we sort of started coming out of being in quarantine and like going places again, I was like, I don't like all the veggie foods that are on menus at restaurants. But it's now in a sort of situation, whereas if I went out, say, with people who maybe didn't understand as much about vegetarianism or aren't veggie or just don't really get it, then I would feel way too awkward to order a meat meal if I didn't like any of the veggie meals, because I wouldn't want to be seen as someone who only like does it sometimes. But like, I personally think as long as, well, like obviously everyone can eat what they want to eat, but if I like sometimes want to eat chicken because I don't like any of the veggie meals, then like I should be able to do that without being judged. But yeah, I agree. It's such a weird sort of thing to navigate.
Yeah. So the other day, I went to Chipotle, and they like I ordered it, and there was like some cheese on my like tacos because I don't know, they were kind of like all mixed together. I ate it anyways, even though there was like cheese pieces, because I would rather eat what they gave me rather than just throwing it away, because I see that as more wasteful. Yeah. Or like my friends before, the server has served them chicken nuggets when they ordered vegan nuggets, and they ate the chicken because it's just more wasteful. Yeah. So once I was at that farm, Gita Nagari Eco Farm and Sanctuary, basically, if a cow has had a calf before, it produces milk for 7 years for that calf. And yeah, so we save that like calf and the mom together, and we raise them together. And then when the calf grows older, it doesn't need milk anymore. It shouldn't be like drinking milk. It should be eating grains or grass. But the mom still like will produce milk, and it'll be heavy on her and it'll hurt her actually. So we do milk the cows, and we use some of the cow's milk in our kitchen on the farm. And that's where I received a lot of my hate, was because I was eating or milking those cows, where I'm like, I was the one who was taking care of cows. They had ranges and ranges of acres, and we saved them from the dairy farm. We were helping them. I go, this type of dairy farming was totally sustainable, ethical, and my fellow vegan friends on the farm, they said they would never, ever buy dairy anywhere else but that farm, because we know how they treat their cows and how sustainable it is. So that, like I said, that's where the vegan community gets iffy sometimes. Like, if I have a farm when I'm older, and if I have a lot of land, and if I have chickens, I may actually eat some eggs, because my chickens would be free range, just having fun. Or my grandpa, he even has like a farm in the country, and he has a couple chickens, and he just lets them run around his yard. Like, I would eat those eggs, because they're not doing anything. The chickens lay eggs no matter what. So I definitely think that's like one of my big things with the vegan community, is just learning to accept one another. I get it, you have to have those barriers because you want more people to change their lifestyle, but they do it in an aggressive way. I think whatever your mind and body feels, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt myself my whole life that I shouldn't be eating meat, and when I would eat meat, and even now, like, if I try to eat dairy, it just doesn't feel right to me. It hurts my stomach. So not only like the health effects, but just kind of like the mind and body connecting, I think has helped me tremendously. And if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not going to pressure anyone, but I definitely think, even with my friends, they should go out and try new things. Like, Meatless Monday is a thing I recommend to a ton of meat eaters. Just go one day out of the week and try the tofu at Chipotle, or if there is like a meat alternative option, try like a vegan veggie patty. So like, having like a Meatless Monday is the opportunity of learning and trying new foods and expanding your lifestyle.
Also, like, the meat replacement options are so good nowadays. Like,
yeah, I think that
it is half the time.
Yeah, there's this pizza place near me, and I order it like twice a week. They know me as the vegan girl when I walk in, because you can order like your personal pizzas, and it's so good. Like, their cheese, and then they have this like vegan chorizo they put on top. But it's amazing. But like, a lot of times too, I know a lot of people in the plant-based community, they don't really like meat substitutes because they don't like the taste of meats. So there's also that. Like, you don't have, like, my biggest thing is just do what's right for you. Like, if you're normally a meat eater, the meat substitutes are amazing nowadays. Like, when I first switched, I ate the vegan corn dogs all the time because it's better than a normal hot dog, obviously, because you don't know what's in a hot dog. And then the vegan like chicken nuggets are also so good because you don't know what they mash up in a chicken nugget normally, like at McDonald's. Like, that's so gross. Like, you don't know what's in there, but at least you know with a vegan chicken nugget that it's not just some random animal parts in it. It's like actually good for you.
Also, I think something that being pescatarian has taught me is how to cook vegetables in a nicer way. Because before it was very much like, you have your meat, you have your vegetables like on the plate. Now it's like, what herbs and spices can I put in with these vegetables to make them have a lovely flavour and all of that, which I think it's just a new way of cooking for me that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, especially here in the States, people focus their meals around the meat.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I have a steak, and then what are the sides? But I feel like especially in like Western like cultures, they focus on rather the vegetables and then like the grains, and then if they do put meat, it's not the main part of the dish. They'll put a couple pieces here and there. But the Americanized like barbecue places where those are like the only places I've ever struggled trying to find alternatives, because it's basically just barbecue, French fries, maybe some potato, like more like mashed potatoes, corn, and that's about it for sides. But yeah, so I think definitely just reworking your brain and thinking that the meat does not have to be the star of the dish. You can get your nutrients from other players in different food groups.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also just a great way to try new foods in general, which is definitely something I was quite bad at doing before. And the amount of things I've tried this like over this year, that now I'd say like, oh, that's one of my favorite meals to have, when before I would have been too scared to even try it, has been like, it's just been a really good journey.
Oh yeah, I was the pickiest of eaters. I would like, looking back now, just like looking at a menu, I would always be like, at restaurants, I would always get anxious looking at a menu too. I would always get really stressed out, didn't know what to get or things like that. And now looking at the menu, I'm always just like, okay, where's the vegan options? Oh, I've never had this before. This looks interesting. Or just how people make like their different creations vegan. I guess like portobello mushrooms, like that's like the steak of the vegan community. Or like, I don't know, just like different things that people use to like create something healthier and good for you.
Yeah, I really agree. I love having these sort of conversations with other people who, like other people who are vegan or vegetarian, because it's just really interesting to share experiences and meals and journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next thing is, I saw on TikTok that you spoke a little bit about being a female farmer. So what is that as an experience like? Yeah, I guess this year's male dominated.
Yes, so there's like kind of like two parts of that. The farming industry is very male dominated and very generational dominated. So a lot of men, especially, they have, especially to like the new age farming, they don't have respect towards us who haven't been doing it for generations. Even though my like I said, my grandparents were farmers. My parents weren't. But I do urban agriculture, which is a different style. It's definitely, especially on TikTok or my social media, I always say, uh, good hate, bad hate, whatever comments I get, at least people are noticing my videos and at least it's something. But a lot of people disrespect me as a woman, stating like, oh, you're just a gardener, or you don't, or like they'll be like, sweetie, leave it to the real farmers, or different comments like that. So the job I work at, actually, I'm the only female on the site, on the farm, pretty much most of the time. And I meet with like officials who come in and they tour the farm, and other farmers who have been like the more rural traditional style farming. They come in and check out our farm and try to learn from us. And the way they approach it and the way they talk to me is very disrespectful. It's very much the, oh, sweetie, or or they'll just talk down to me. And it's to the point where sometimes I just need to walk away and take a breath, because this is my major, this is my lifestyle, this is what I've been doing for years, and I have the current knowledge on how to make this work. And they are just very blindsided past the fact that I am female. And I try to carry myself on the farm very professionally. Some guys wear cut-off shirts or take their shirts off midday when it's hot out. Me, being a female, I don't feel comfortable doing that, wearing tank tops or just wearing a sports bra or something. I don't want to be seen like that, as I don't want to be seen over sexualized. And honestly, like, that is very hurtful, like, but that is the reality, that working in a male dominated field, I don't want to be talked down to or seen sexualized while I'm farming. So I wear my t-shirts, long sleeve shirts. I wear always just like appropriate like running shorts and hiking boots when I'm working, just to try to stay as professional as possible. I definitely think that another reason why female farming is very difficult is because a lot of female farmers are doing this new style of farming, and it's not the traditional style, and farmers do feel threatened. They feel threatened to the fact that we have this new age farming, that we are producing more and we are being more successful, while they are wasting their money on fertilizers that are just ruining our planet, and they are just buying their giant John Deere tractors for hundreds of thousands of dollars, when we are just focusing on the plants, and we're doing better, honestly. I'm sorry, but we're doing better, and our field is growing more and more because we are more successful, and we are working. I'm not going to say we're working harder, but we're just looking at things differently in a new mind. Like, I'm sorry, the world is changing. We don't have to be doing things that your family's been doing for 75 plus years. Like, my family, my great grandparents were farming, my grandparents were farming. They won awards for it. But my grandpa, he has his own urban farm. He gave up that farming every day because he realizes he gets so much more just focusing on his greenhouse rather than like doing acres and acres of farmland a day. It's just what I would say to any female interested in farming or interested in doing this agriculture lifestyle is definitely go into it confidently, no matter what. No matter what you say, be a strong woman. I pride myself on being a strong, independent woman. And this guy, let's say, bless his heart. His family was had a farm, and he like farmed sheep, and he was trying to tell me that like the Great Lakes in the United States, one of them near my house, it's having a lot of issues with algal blooms, and it being the Great Lakes, like, you know, it's the biggest area for fresh water. It's having a lot of problems with its filtration and algal blooms, and he was trying to tell me that it's not the farmers and it's more of the factories. And I have done water quality research at that Great Lake, and I have worked with water quality specialists and people around the world trying to help that Great Lake. And I did it for a whole summer, and he was trying to tell me what the reasons were, and I blatantly just said, I'm kind of a blunt person. I just said, you are wrong. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I go, actually, the reason is because of the farmers and because they're using too much phosphorus in their fertilizers on their plants, and you guys don't have adequate draining systems. So then once it rains, the rain goes off the plants, goes straight into the waterways, goes in the Great Lakes, and then boom. And now there's algal blooms, and then the water's undrinkable, and tourism goes down, economy goes down. Domino effect. Basically, don't be afraid to tell a guy off. Like, don't be afraid. Like, some of them sometimes, like, even my boss, when this guy comes in, like, and he tries to talk down to me, he's just like talking down to me just to make him feel better about himself. So I just am straight up, like, if I know the facts for sure, I will tell him the facts from A to Z, and then if he's still arguing, well, just say you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, that is, wow.
It's just I get it though, because there's a lot of egos with farming, because it's not just them, it's their family. It's like their family's way of living for how many years of life. So they take it very personal.
Yeah, which I guess does make sense, but like, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so As we've spoken a lot about sustainability in this episode, I was wondering if you could give your top three sustainability tips to the listeners.
Okay. So, my biggest thing, so throughout your life, you hear reduce, reuse, and recycle. My biggest thing is to reduce, reduce, reduce. Your very last thing should be recycle. Like if that, like if you really have to recycle, recycle. So reduce your plastic waste. To be more sustainable, quit buying the plastics that you see at the grocery store or things like that. My roommates, like when you go to the grocery store and buy apples, bananas, you don't need to put them in a plastic bag. Like you don't need to do that. It has nature's shell. Or try to buy, like when you buy produce, check to see if there's ones without plastic packaging. Buy a reusable water bottle instead of a pack of 24 water bottles. Like a big thing too is toiletries. There's shampoo bars that work amazing, and then there is like toothpaste tablets. So very much reduce your weight, reduce your waste. Just like another thing, like we talked about earlier, just look at the world differently. I really think since my journey of accepting sustainability and just really falling headfirst into this whole world is just looking at the world differently. Once you see things as more materialistic and less value and just seeing things as wasteful, then you become more aware of what you're doing. So that would be my first one, is to reduce like plastic waste or just single-use items. Then my next tip, I think this is very, very important, especially people around our age, like our age group, is to not to fall into the cycle of fast fashion. You see people all the time, like going to shopping on Shein or shopping Zara or Forever 21. Those brands are so bad to the environment. You can see just even a year what styles go in and out so fast. I really don't buy clothes ever. My recommendation is, if you want new clothes in your closet, everybody says go thrifting, go thrifting. Go thrifting, yeah. But if you're not good at it, and me, it takes a lot of time and skill. I'm not really the best at it, and I don't have that time or skill set. Like I don't really have that good like creative mind. I would check out, like, I love Poshmark, Depop, or like Instagram stores. I shop a lot of Instagram stores to get my stuff because a lot of people at my college, they just have Instagram stores or Depops, and then I can just go and pick them up at their house or whatever. Yeah, and then the next thing for living a more sustainable lifestyle, I would think, and it's a thing I've been working towards, is gift giving. So in today's society, people are thinking that you need to go out and buy outlandish gifts for your friends, or buy them all this stuff, or, have wrapping paper, the bag, all of that, the bow. That is so wasteful. For Christmas, my mom wrapped my presents in newspaper, so I thought that was kind of unique. That's like a different way. But with your friends or even some of your family, if there's an item like you don't use anymore, like a picture frame, like a random picture frame, print out a picture and put that in, and then re-gift that frame, and so you're giving it a new life. For some of my friends' birthdays, I had like a pair of jeans like I didn't wear anymore. I wrapped it up and gave it to them for their birthday. We need to get away from the stigma of like secondhand gifts, but really you're thinking of that person, of what you have. So you're giving those items a new life, and you're giving them to someone. It's almost a little bit more meaningful than going out to Target and buying just random stuff that may just sit in their closet for a while and they may not even really use.
Yeah. I wanted to say something in regards to the fast fashion, because I'm sat here wearing a top from Shein, so I feel like I should say that is my worst thing when it comes to sustainability. I'm so bad with trying to find more sustainable options for clothing. But something I've been trying to do is and one thing I've actually been really trying to do is build my wardrobe as a wardrobe that isn't going to go out of style and that is going to hopefully fit me for a long time and that I can easily pair with other things in my wardrobe. Because where I live, there's not very good charity shops or like thrift shops, and sometimes Depop shops can be so expensive. And I know it can be very hard for people, and it's definitely the thing that I want to work on the most next in like my sustainability journey. But yeah, I just wanted to be honest to say, like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, I'm always on Shein, like, don't like beat yourself up about it too much. But if you are on there shopping, do you think like, am I actually going to wear this in the next 3 months, or is it something that's just going to go out of style? Because you could buy something on there and wear it for years to come, and that, although it's not the best place to buy from, at least like you're wearing it for a long time. Whereas if it's something that's like literally just come into fashion, it's like you're not going to wear that in 5 years time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, one thing that I've started doing, and I've seen like a lot of people like promote about, is promoting like a color, like it's like a color coded closet. So when I do shop, I shop within my like colors that I know I wear a lot. So I really go for like, I really like tans, black, white, baby blue, baby pink, and sage. For some reason, I've always kind of picked out those colors, and then those colors really mix and match with a ton of stuff that I have. So try to think of like what colors look best on you and what colors can you wear for a long time.
Yeah. Also, like, repurpose your clothing. This was something that I've been doing quite a lot this year. At the beginning of the year, I bought this like white t-shirt that I thought I would really like, and I ended up hating it. And I couldn't take it to the charity shops because all the charity shops have been closed, or they've had like way too many donations because people have been cleaning out their wardrobes during quarantine. So instead of just getting rid of it or recycling it, I've just been wearing it as a pajama top. So now it's had a whole new life as a pajama top. And I often do that if something is like a little bit too like worn out to wear out of the house, wear it as a pajama top instead, or just as something to wear around the house when you're not going out.
Yeah, that's totally a good idea. I know I get a lot of my clothes from my mom, who she doesn't want them anymore, and like I do a lot of like thrift flipping. I'm like, okay, how can I give this a new life? What can I do with this? Because I don't know how to sew or anything, but I think I have a little bit of a creative mind. So whether it is like just cropping a shirt, tying it differently, styling it differently, you can totally give a whole new life to something that you've never had before.
Yeah. So we are on to the last question now, and that is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I think like the best piece of advice I've ever been given, I don't know an exact like word for word quote, but basically just like be you and be true. That's like one thing that has really been trying to like stick with me for a while. Or like my friends, I'm very like insecure about people liking me, or very worried about how society looks at me. And my friends are very, very supportive, and they're always just like, be yourself, I like this. And they push me every day to be my best self and be the person who I want to be. Because sometimes I get stuck in this like kind of like system where I want to just kind of like be like everyone else. So really, if you are interested in doing something different, or just trying something new, or something like not even your friend group does, or a different outfit or something, put it on, change your hair, cut it, dye it, do whatever. Be yourself and be true to yourself.
That is very good advice, and I think I can see that like shining through in what you're doing in the work and everything. You can tell that you're really passionate about it and that you're doing it because it's something that you enjoy.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really hope, I just really want to make a difference in the world and show people that you can be part of the change. Like, I did talk a lot about negative things, I guess, or just I don't know. I just want to open light that you can too do this. You don't have to do everything at once. Like I said, this is a journey for me, and I'm still growing and learning every single day, just like you, just like everyone else. It can be scary going to like the environmental sustainability community, like such as like having leather goods. I have leather goods, but just like looking at things differently. Like maybe if you want that like Gucci purse, maybe buy it secondhand. It's cheaper and it's more sustainable. So just kind of like looking at things differently from a new eye and a new perspective, and looking at those alternatives. You'll just learn and grow every single day.
So thank you so much, Izzy, for coming on the podcast. I've really enjoyed this chat. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope that everyone that's listening has enjoyed it too. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with me. And yeah, and if you want to check me out on social medias, I will shout myself out. I am really predominant on Instagram and TikTok. Those two are going to be at Izzy Lause, which is at IZZYLAUSE. So check that, my Instagram and TikTok, for more environmental content. I have a Twitter too. You can follow me on there as well. I don't really post as much, but yeah, thank you so much again, and hope everybody has a great day.